So welcome back to the Dogs and Deadlifts podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Rose, and today we have Aussie, I was going to say Brisbane, Dr. Ingrid. How are you going, Ingrid?
Hey, oh good. Hey, it's really good to be back. Thanks for having me. Like chatting about Mantrailing, and yeah, but doing pretty good.
Yeah, look, it's
Yeah,
been a little while. I know that you're and you're not far away. You're only a couple of hours away from me here. And it was really interesting having a chat to you over the last probably you know couple of months. We've sort of touched base with each other around a few different things, but I wanted to bring you on the show and give everyone a bit of an update, not just about what you've been up to, but what Mantrailing Global's been up to and what some of the plans that for this year as well. But before we do get into all that sort of cool stuff, for those of people that don't know who you are, I didn't mention, your business creature connections. We'll talk about a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you do, if that's okay.
yeah, absolutely. So,
Mm,
I guess I'm a jack of all trades, really. I'm a behaviour vet,
mm,
so that means I've just got some postgraduate qualifications in behaviour medicine,
mm,
and there's kind of one of my legs I stand on, and the other one is just the trainer leg, basically. So I'm so qualified through the Karen Pryor Academy, and well, 2023, I was lucky enough to become a mentoring global instructor.
mhm,
So, and since then, I've I've probably yeah. So I'm probably getting more and more into mentoring, really.
mhm.
Um, Kind of getting to the time limit in terms of, there's only so many sessions you can run because we are limited by the climate, really, like especially in summer.
Yep,
It's just the morning and night. So,
yep.
and then obviously working around when people can come. But it's become a big part of of what I do is mentoring. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just briefly, did you want to give the audience just a quick rundown if they haven't listened? Do you do a bit of search and rescue too?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. So yeah, so I'm a volunteer with the Queensland Fire Department.
Yep.
Been for I think I started training in 2011, so a little while now.
Mhm.
Um, and just qualified my first dog in 2015, and yeah, I've been with that for forever. Feels like it, but since then,
Mhm.
so I'm a handler. I've got a novice young dog at the moment, and I'm also a trainer and assessor. So I assess the teams
Mhm. Yeah.
for the deployments.
Yeah, and primarily what type of deployments do you guys do?
So we are attached to the Urban Search and Rescue Task Force.
Mhm.
So it is mainly earthquakes is the main thing. So collapsed
Mhm.
building is urban search and rescue.
Yep.
But then would be, cyclones are a big one that
Yep.
potentially can create a lot of damage in our part of the world,
Mhm.
landslides. So we don't, we get deployed with the whole team. So I think it's a total about 75 people,
Mhm.
which are rescue technicians and engineers and doctors and dog handlers.
Yep.
And it's a fairly self-sufficient system. So everything fits on a cargo plane from the RAF,
Mhm.
and that's how we get to the country. So um, the last recent deployment was to of the task force was to Vanuatu, like just
Mhm.
before Christmas.
Yep. Yep. I do recall seeing some social media attention around that as well. So that's not just Australian based. You guys go throughout international as well if required.
Yes, we can. So
Mm-hmm.
so we only basically limited a little bit with the dogs in terms of biosecurity. So we just have to
Hmm.
make sure we can bring the dogs back
Yep. Yep.
in a timely manner. So ideally within the 10 days of quarantine. So that is the only thing that can be a little difficult for us
Yeah. Yeah, for
because we're
sure.
in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, it must have been around 2023, you and I, I guess reached out, or we met each other, and that was at the Mantrailing Global first Australian instructor course here in Toowoomba. So that was a great week, great experience. Yeah, and from there, I certainly believe that yourself, Lewis, have who were there as well, have taken the bull by the horns and literally ran with it, the man trailing aspect of the business. Do you want to explain? Obviously, you can go back to that week and your thought process and how things sort of got to where they are today.
So I guess obviously like scent any scent work for dogs is my thing.
Hmm.
Um, and then I've always been a bit so I've always really liked how content the dogs are, like our working dogs.
Hmm.
That when they walk away from a search or a day of training, they're just like it does a lot for them. But then, of course, on the other hand, like most dogs are not cut out to be urban search and rescue dogs, which is not
Hmm.
necessarily bad, but they may not be easy to live with.
Hmm.
But for me, what was missing is how can I give that to pet dogs, literally. And when I saw you advertise that mentoring instructors, because it was like, that's it. I
Hmm.
literally didn't think about it too much. I just signed up, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and that was a driving force for me, and that's really also what drives me to continue
Hmm.
is what I can give the dogs and the guardians because it's ideal for dogs that are not able to participate in your group class
Hmm. Yeah.
because they might be reactive or nervous or just might be just too much for them. And it's just such a great confidence builder, and
Hmm.
it's also really good for a lot of dogs that don't quite have their needs met. You know,
Yep.
they might working tight breeds, and
Yep.
a walk around the block is just not going to cut it for
Hmm.
them.
Yep.
And they also really do well with man trailing.
Yeah, and like let's be honest, we've said this a number of times as well. Man trailing is not for every person, right? Not everyone loves getting out there and being active, etc. However, a lot of dogs can certainly benefit from it. And I guess from your point of view, you come from a not just a veterinary background, behavior background also, and now that combines your search and rescue, and like you said, the benefits are there, and you're seeing them day in, day out, right?
It really is for me. Like it
Mm.
really is like a missing. It was kind of the missing piece
Hmm.
to the puzzle.
Yep.
I do nose work, scent work as well, which is also very beneficial.
Hmm.
But what man trailing has for me is just that physical aspect as well. So it's
Hmm.
it's a low impact sport. It's not like you know highly challenging on the body, but it's still a more physical activity.
Hmm.
And it it does it's such an amazing addition for those dogs that just need a bit of help and like yeah they just become confident and resilient if we set up the problems carefully so they can solve them. And yeah, it does definitely. So I've been told that by like quite a few people that come
Hmm.
with their dogs. It also transfers to the rest of their lives, so it's not just limited to the main trailing aspect.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And I guess, we're going to talk very shortly about opportunities, but you jumped in, you commenced your classes, you found locations, etc. And from the very first intro, you could see, people getting enthusiastic about this, and now, looking on your website, you're booked out quite some time in advance, right?
Yeah. So obviously, it took a little while to build, but there was a lot of interest from the beginning. So
Mm.
I think everyone was keen. There was, of course, a bit of a novelty
Mhm.
aspect to it
Mhm.
because it's a new sport
Mhm.
in Australia.
Mhm.
But yeah, like people just took it really well and I really enjoyed. And I think from what I've heard, wherever the new instructors start, it's very
Hmm.
similar. So
Yeah.
Ron and Darwin, it's the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, all the instructors down south and Louis, but yeah, they're just people love it.
Yeah, doing really well for sure. So I guess that sort of segues into the first instructor course. As I mentioned, I was a bit of a host, and then last year, you took the baton, and you held a an instructor course in Brisbane. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Held the instructors course in yeah, actually yeah,
Yep.
Brisbane. Yeah.
Yep. And moving forward this year, you're looking to do another instructor course in Brisbane.
Yes. So Logan, to be precise, but yeah,
Yep.
Brisbane area.
Yep.
So it'll be Beenleigh this year.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, hopefully get a few more, or we definitely get a few more instructors on board.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're, just we'll give a bit of a plug out there. If obviously you're thinking about it, certainly well worth considering, jumping on board, reaching out to Mantrailing Global and finding out a little bit more about that. But I also wanted to talk about, some recent developments and what you've been up to around heading overseas to further increase your knowledge and skill set with Mantrailing Global. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, very lucky to be invited and being able to go to the head instructors course this year. So that was in beginning of February in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's been an amazing experience. So we've just focused. So also not teaching and teaching and developing instructors.
Yep.
So in addition to teaching um, dogs and handlers or to get into the man trailing game. So I really enjoyed it, and obviously it was really nice to trail in a few different locations.
Yep.
And yeah, it's it's uh it's been around in Europe for longer,
Mm-hmm.
so there's there's more knowledge about it, and it's definitely a popular sport.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something, that we feel at times we're a little bit isolated here in Australia, right? Whilst we have, a number of people come to Australia you've hosted a couple of international guests as well. We certainly get, at times, I won't say completely left out, but, certainly at times, miss out on, the additional education because of the extra travel, the costs, et cetera, et cetera. The Aussie dollar is not great compared to euros or the US. So there's certainly some hurdles here for us in Australia, but we know that some people do international guests come over, but sometimes it works out better or more even, we'll say, if we go over there. So you went straight to Germany, and was it? Do you want to talk about that? Did you go straight to the course, or did you do a bit of work or a bit of stuff with anyone else while you're there?
No, I went. I went further straight to the course
Hmm. Hmm.
for the first week, and then I was just visiting friends and family
Yeah.
uh, after a couple of weeks after. So yeah, I didn't. I made like a touch a little holiday, which was needed
Yeah. Why not? Why
to
not?
relax a bit.
Yeah.
But I think the good thing is that obviously doing the head instructors course is also
Mm.
trying to get more support to Australia from
Yep.
Mentor Global.
Yep.
Um, Continue to build, and so we don't feel that isolated. Um,
Yeah.
feel a
Yeah.
bit more, I feel a bit more involved. It's definitely easier. Like even now,
Hmm.
if there's any meeting, like
Hmm.
the time difference sometimes is quite challenging because it might be like 12 a.m. or like 2 a.m. in the morning, or so yeah. And for all the guys over there, it's a little bit the people that are in Europe, it's a little bit easier, obviously, to arrange those things.
Yep.
Having said that, there is a couple of head instructors in the US as well, so they kind of face a similar challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And I guess like being totally honest and transparent to the listeners out there, we're spending a bit of time, obviously, talking about Mantrailing Global in particular. Obviously, we're both completed the course. We're both affiliated to Mantrailing Global. Just I wanted to touch on it. What I've noticed, and you may have noticed this, not just in Australia, when we're noticing some other trainers or organizations or not organizations popping up and trying to duplicate a number of activities, maybe under a different name or etc. I don't really care, I don't really care. But the focus tonight is to talk about the benefits of potentially aligning with an organization like Mantrailing Global coming to if you're Joe Public and you want to give Mantrailing a go, coming to a certified instructor or head instructor to understand the processes and the systems that get the best out of your dog, right?
Yes, I mean, that's I do believe a very similar thing happened in Europe as well.
Hmm.
Or like I started in Great Britain.
Hmm.
They kind of, I think they're among the first ones to do, have a have certify instructors and have a proper program in place, and
Hmm.
um, then other like you said, other organizations or not organizations kind
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
tagged along.
Hmm.
um, I think you know it's like always, certification isn't everything,
Hmm.
regardless of what it is. But for me, obviously, the Mantrailing Global values align very well with the way I train, and also, it's very dog centered, so
Hmm.
it's about really being accessible to every dog.
Hmm.
So, uh, not just the dogs that want to work,
Hmm.
but also your 2 kilo Chihuahua that is worried about a leaf rustling in the bush.
Hmm.
So we can really work around that, and give the benefits to those dogs that maybe are kind of a little bit overlooked
Hmm.
in other um, systems. And I think what I also like is that there is a requirement for continuing education,
Hmm.
which I think is important regardless of what you do. And also, I really like the support
Hmm.
and the resources that we get. So especially with I've had a look at the new platform.
Hmm.
It's excellent in terms of there's like the handouts and theory and everything, and then we have the Q&As with
Hmm.
Lisa
Hmm.
if you have any questions. So I find it's very beneficial for the development of the instructors and teachers as
Hmm.
well. And
Hmm.
despite feeling a little bit isolated here,
Hmm.
the support's always there.
Hmm.
So you can always, there's always someone, and even in the Facebook group, the guild, the Mentoring Guild group for the instructors, there's always someone who will help you out if you ask a question. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think that is good, especially for us where we
Hmm.
kind of might not have another. And we are lucky because we're not
Hmm.
too far from each other, but there might be, you might be in Darwin, you might be the only instructor.
Yeah, yeah,
You,
that's exactly right. And I guess we here in Australia we face some of our own unique challenges in regards to not just weather at times, but also well, my biggest fear is some red belly black snake or a brown snake, and it's not uncommon at whatsoever, right? So we have our own unique set of challenges, environmental challenges, but for and I've been very open and very honest about this. I'm very passionate about, building a community as you are around like-minded people, not just instructors, but, participants and students as well, right? Hmm.
it's nice.
Yeah, and I've said that plenty of times before, and by getting on a podcast and talking for half an hour or 40 odd minutes around the benefits or what's happening here in Australia, not just for Mantrailing Global, but Mantrailing and some of the stuff that you're doing and I'm doing can only educate and spread the word. For me on an easy platform on a, you know.
Yeah, it's always good. I love podcasts, especially
Hmm?
because we travel a lot.
Hmm.
It's the best thing you can do to make use of your time in the car is just listen to good podcasts and
Yeah.
get some
and
new information.
and casual conversations, that's how I do things. You know, people, sometimes appreciate that, right? So, you know, so before we get sort of start getting too, you know, um, oh, we'll segue a little bit, right? So, what's, obviously 2023, recently, obviously come back from Germany, which was an awesome experience. What's on the horizon at the moment, or over the next couple of months? In regards to, oh, look, I know, but do you want to let it let
Yeah, I
people,
know. Yeah.
let people out there, moving forward over the next little while?
So with for my students, I've scheduled. So I've got assessments coming up.
Hmm.
So for people that don't know, we don't. There is no competitions in Mantrailing,
Hmm.
which I quite like,
Hmm.
but that you can definitely sit assessments. There's no requirement to do so, but if you want to, it's a good goalpost,
Hmm.
and it's to see where you are as a team with your dog. So I got level one assessments coming up in April, and then level two assessments, I think, 2 or 3 weeks later in May. So that's a few of us were lucky enough to do the level one assessments um, last year,
Hmm.
and then so there's at least a couple of dogs who are gonna
Yeah.
attempt the level two,
Yeah.
and then yeah, it's moving on. Obviously, then the instructors course, it's in the first week of July,
Hmm.
and followed by the instructors boot camp. So
Hmm.
Danielle Legat from Switzerland, she's
Hmm.
also a Mantrailing Global Head Instructor. She's coming over to do our Mantrailing Global Head Instructors boot camp. So
Hmm.
that is posted just for instructors to just get some new concepts on board, and
Hmm.
see how we go with any questions about teaching, and some teaching more advanced exercises as well. And the week after, I've also scheduled some advanced workshop days for my clients, but anyone who's Mantrailing um, global trained can participate. So it's not just for.
Yep. Sweet as. Sorry, I just want to just jump back a little bit to the assessments for a moment, just to educate people a little bit about the assessments and what is required. Because look, at the end of the day, we all love a certificate or a ribbon or or a badge or something like that. Whilst like I said, there's no competitions, but I'd love a good badge.
Yeah, I would like it because I mean you're still it's just challenging the work you've put in,
Mhm.
and I quite like that, and I'm like you. I like to have a goal.
Yep.
It's to
So
go
what
forward.
is the so let's just say someone's interested in looking at a level one assessment, Mantrailing Global level one assessment. Can they just pop up, or have they got to be training with an instructor, certified instructor, and what's the go around that?
Yeah, so they have to have at least 20 sessions with a certified mentoring global instructor.
Hmm.
So get that signed off in their level one booklet,
Hmm.
and that then they can sit the level one assessment.
Hmm.
That's one.
Yep. Yep.
The level one assessment is, I think it's a good question.
Hmm.
I think it's 2 to 400 meters, a single blind. That means I, as an instructor, will know where the trail layer is gone,
Hmm.
and but obviously the participants won't. And the trail is aged for 30 to 60 minutes.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
and then they have a time limit of 30 minutes to complete it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's if you've done the work, definitely achievable and good fun. So even if if things don't work out on the first try, there's usually
Hmm.
enough time.
Hmm.
Um, and then once you've passed level one,
Hmm.
then you can look at working towards your level two,
Yep.
which is also you have to have 20 trails.
Hmm.
And so the main difference for so sorry should add that it's a rural environment for
Hmm.
level one.
Hmm.
So only soft surface, only grass. Well,
Hmm.
depending on Australia, it might be dry grass, but
Yep. Yep.
and then for your level two, it can be mixed.
Mhm.
There can be a little bit of hard surface in there, and it's also like all the subsequent levels, it's a double blind. So neither the instructor
Mhm.
nor the handler know where the trail layer or where the trail runs, where the trail layer went.
Yep. So that's so once you complete your level one, it's 20 additional sessions for to complete. Then you're eligible for your level two, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And look, just so just for the audience there, look, I know this, but I'm just trying to
yeah. No, no, that's good.
make it make it simplified for those people out there that have never heard this before or interested in finding out a little bit more. So the other question people ask me is, can I go straight to level two?
No, you can't. So you have to do level one before you can work towards level two. So there's
Look,
no skipping levels.
question gets asked.
I know that's okay. I can imagine. In that aspect, it's very similar to
Mhm.
your ENKC tracking
Yep.
certifications because or
Mhm.
competitions because you have to do them in order. You can't
Mhm.
skip.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's just for those listening out there. So that's obviously with a Mantrailing Global instructor. So, if you were doing, minimum of one session a week with a Mantrailing Global instructor, obviously you'd be able to get that, obviously ticked off within a 20-week period, and then once you complete that level one, you could, you know, get within the let's just say within the 50 the 50-week year you could get both of those if you minimum one session a week, right?
Yes, that would
Hmm.
that would work.
Hmm.
Obviously, it depends a bit on the team
Yeah.
and some might want to do a few more trails to be confident. It's often not what
Yeah.
happens.
Mm.
Nerves kick
Yep.
in
100%. Yep.
when it's an assessment. So
Yep.
something that would be probably
Mm.
quite easily done in
Mm.
a training session might be a lot more difficult when it comes to assessment.
For sure, and we're certainly not interested in rushing dogs or pushing teams through. I just wanted to give a brief sort of outline of
Yeah, yeah.
you know it could be achieved if everything
Yep,
lined
if
up.
all the stuff, yeah, definitely, yeah. So,
You know, but certainly we take it one step at a time, and we ensure that the dog and the handler are both competent, moving forward. So and we would see Um, if we looked at one session a week for most people, there's probably only a small percentage of those people that are doing, more than that, right?
yes, I think
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of people that
Yeah,
do more session.
at this point in time,
Yeah, at this
yeah,
point in time.
for
So
sure.
it's
Mm-hmm.
often, of course, you have other most people have other commitments.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you have to fit it around your schedule. But yeah,
Yep.
I think a lot of my regular teams will do that about every
Mm-hmm.
week or every second week.
Mm-hmm.
They come, so they quite regularly come
Yep.
to
Yeah,
session.
for sure. Um, what else? So I just wanted to, yeah, just to jump back to that, we'll head back, obviously, if you the instructor certification, and then you've got your Danielle coming over for additional learning for instructors, and also those advanced workshops.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
she like kind of I do. I think with everything I do, we do. That's um, why we get people come over, for search and rescue
Mm-hmm.
handlers. I really like getting new instructors or like
Mm-hmm.
other instructors than myself
Yep.
come and run workshops. I think everyone benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I get to run my own dogs,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right.
which sometimes doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I quite like that. I um, also quite like to take my own if I have the opportunity, just take my own dogs
Hmm.
to other workshops
Yep.
and just continue the learning and be a participant rather than an instructor sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And and since we've known each other, there's been, I've been seeing you attend a number of seminars yourself, as I do as well, right? I know that I wanted to just touch on briefly. I know that you hosted Craig and primarily a play seminar. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? How that was
Yeah, so I was
last
lucky
year?
enough to
Yeah.
commence Craig. So Craig Ogilvy, for
Mm-hmm.
people that don't know, he's
Hmm.
quite well known instructor in Europe.
Hmm.
Got actually a background in in mondioring,
Hmm.
and over the years then has developed. He's actually written his own book on interactive play,
Hmm.
and he's really got a gift on like playing with dogs. Not just Mondio dogs, like
Hmm.
literally all of
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
And so I was lucky enough to bring him over to come and host. So he did host a day of the interactive play workshops,
Hmm.
interactive play instructors course, and also a couple of actually problem behavior workshop and multiple markers.
Yep.
So that, yeah, it was really good. Like
Yeah.
really good to get some get some new things, new input,
Yep.
and I really enjoyed it. And he's actually coming back in November.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool. So I have to check my schedule. Like obviously I wasn't available last year, so um this year is looking much better for me to attend a number of other things. So
Yeah, so
mm.
so Craig's going to Darwin first.
Yep.
I think he's also going to have a workshop with the
Mm.
Air Force there, and
Mm.
he's there and he's coming doing some workshops for us and
Yeah.
potentially with the RAF as well here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
going to spend a little bit of time here.
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
Again.
Awesome. That yeah, definitely have to organize. I spoke to him just via socials, I don't know, a little while ago in regards to jumping on the podcasting, have a bit of a chat because he's also a big fan of fitness and conditioning and not just obviously play as well. And um, he put me in touch with his personal assistant, but things just didn't quite
Didn't
align.
align. Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. So we just put it on hold for the moment, but certainly keen to have him on the podcast and talk not necessarily just play, but fitness and conditioning for dogs, and he loves it for humans as well.
Yes, he's an extremely fit person.
Yes, indeed. We'll just leave it at
Yeah,
that. So that's exciting. What else? What have you got? Anything else lined up? That's you got a heap of things at the moment happening.
that's it for this year in
Yeah.
terms of
Hmm.
hosting,
Hmm.
running workshops.
Yep.
Um, I'm starting to just also run some um, interactive play workshops.
Yep.
So I think they'll run the first one in a couple of weeks for pet dogs.
Yep.
So again,
Yep.
to get a bit of that value to dogs that and dogs and people that may
Mhm.
not have any experience with interactive play.
Yep.
Um, and
Yep.
then yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And I guess, just on that, I guess, most, and correct me please if I'm incorrect here, but most, sort of play type, I guess, um, dog sports that I've been involved with. Obviously, one agility, right? Very heavily into play and development, and the other one is body sports. You know, so outside of those two, we haven't seen a lot of, I guess, play and drive building development in crossover to other sports. We are now, but that was sort of, let's just say if we take it back 5 years, 10 years or something like that, that's sort of the two biggest sports or arenas that we see interactive play, right? Or a focus on play and how to play correctly, etc. With your dogs, right? So the crossover, to your pet dogs for more fulfillment, for me is fantastic, right? Is that sort of, what your opinion is as well?
yeah, absolutely. So
Hmm.
I think it's I think it's for people that are not involved in dog sports and then
Hmm.
often like you said, it's not a sport where maybe play is often used.
Hmm.
Um, they're often just not aware of it,
Hmm.
and of how beneficial it can be. Like
Hmm.
literally, just relationship building, impulse control,
Hmm.
having fun with your dog.
Hmm.
um, and also, it's a like such for a dog that loves to play. Like it's such a great reinforcer
Hmm.
for training.
Yeah.
Obviously, like our search dogs, we do have food reward dogs. I know
Hmm.
some um, groups don't, but we
Hmm.
don't. We're fine with that, and it works really well. But obviously, also have the dogs that really love to play, and just for them, it's the best thing to find a person and play with them,
Hmm.
and it's and then obviously it's the bite sports is often just an extension of that, really,
Mm. Yeah.
and the extension and a lot of refinement. But yeah, it's I think yeah, it's very undervalued because people
Hmm.
don't know enough about it yet.
100%. That's exactly right. Like I've got a little, little Frenchie that loves it. And they don't have to be German Shepherds,
Oh,
Malinois, or
absolutely not.
Border Collies, or in, some others, you know, working, Labradors in regards to, the detection work they do and stuff like that. Um, all breeds, right?
Absolutely, all breeds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a little bit with like Mantrailing, you just maybe you have to you adjust your initial approach a little bit because
Hmm.
often dogs don't know how to play either
Hmm.
and how much fun it can be.
Yep.
But there is literally, there's a way to play for every dog. It's just sometimes you have to find it,
Yeah. Yep.
and it doesn't matter. So when Craig was here for he's running the interactive play workshops. We had all sorts of dogs,
Hmm.
like we had the more laid back dogs
Hmm.
and high drive agility border collies
Yep.
and everything in between, little
Yep.
dogs, big dogs.
Yep.
And yeah, it doesn't matter.
For sure. And just to sort of, touch on it, playing is, like we're talking, we're saying playing, right? And I just don't want people to interpret that in just to, play tug with your dog, for instance. There's a number of different ways we can interact and play and, put that in commas, and it's not just a tug with your dog and flinging them around from left to, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's sort of when people think play, that's sometimes the first thing that pops into their heads, right?
yeah, it's
Mm.
that often. Or
Mm.
the other one is that a lot of people think throwing a tennis ball until
Yep.
your arm hurts literally
Yep.
um,
Yep.
is it's a form of play. So I'm not going to say
Hmm.
it's not necessarily a
Yep.
bad, but if it's the only game you play with your dog, it's not very
Hmm.
interactive.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just a ball thrower.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly
Um,
right.
and then obviously you have so many ways of toy play,
Hmm.
and like you say, tag is one, but
Hmm.
then
Yep.
you know, flirt poles and then obviously there's also interactive play also includes playing with your dog maybe without a toy. So personal play
Yep.
is definitely something that a lot of dogs enjoy,
Yep.
and yeah, people
So,
probably maybe not are worried about doing it or not sure how to approach it. So
yeah, I tell a funny story actually just on that personal play. So I had the opportunity to go and for a government job, a dog handler's job, and they brought out a dog, and you had to interact with the dog for 5 minutes. So, the timer started, and there was no toys, there was no balls, there was nothing, right? So, for me, it was like, lucky I had experience in this area before, and I got the dog engaging with me, etc., etc. But it is really hard for some people, and after a few minutes, yeah, they threw me a tug, right? You know, they were kind enough to throw me a tug, but it certainly you could do the whole 5 minutes without any sort of form of tug whatsoever for these dogs, and that they wanted to see how you would interact on a personal play level with the dogs, whether you could keep the dogs engaged or not, and just with your body, your language, your movement, your tone of your voice, etc. Right?
yes, yeah, and
Mhm.
it's it's quite. I love to watch it when people people learn how to do it, and when
Mm.
the dogs figure out how much fun their person can be.
Yep.
And yeah, I kind of came across it kind of by accident, really, like many before it started more formal. I
Mm.
was, kind of with one of my young dogs, and I was just,
Yeah.
doing the dodgy thing and
Yep.
like kind of imitating a play bow, and off we went. And like she just enjoyed it so much that,
Yeah. Mm.
but yeah, for me it was I was lucky. I don't know, I kind
Mm.
of tried it. I didn't have any. That was many years back,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I think often the dogs just, yeah, it just develops the relationship further,
Yeah.
and the bond, and
Yep.
they like, yeah, they
Mm.
they see you. I think they kind of see you in a different light then as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like, and for some, look, so I'm going to say this, but for some males in particular, not just males, I'll say males because I come from my place, right? The ego that has to be dropped to, personally play and be extroverted in your whole body language is extremely difficult.
It is like I see that even at trailing sometimes, or at search and rescue when you kind of when and starting out,
Mm.
it definitely is can be a little bit harder for males getting that, be excited and have a party with your dog and a bit of high pitched voice, and they're like they try, but it's really difficult to start with. And
Yeah, it takes a little bit of getting used to, and um, but at the end of the day, we all can get there. It's just a matter of some coaching and some guidance.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah,
just I think a little bit is about one thing about playing with your dog
yeah,
is you cannot don't worry about what people think,
mm,
because if you think about you might look silly, which you
mm,
may to other people that haven't don't know what's going on.
mhm,
Yeah, you're probably inhibited. You're
mm,
like, oh, I don't know, just don't worry about it. Just have
mm.
fun with your dog,
Yeah, for
and then
sure.
the rest comes.
Yeah, definitely. I love that fact. And once again, you can combine, going back to Mantrailing, you can combine that play and that development with Mantrailing. They work really, really nicely together.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yep.
like
Hmm.
for at the like man trailing, any dog can trail.
Hmm.
Like it's not something we teach them.
Hmm.
Like we don't teach them the ability like you trail. Dogs like instinctively know how to follow a trail, but
Hmm.
obviously we want them to follow the trail of the person we're looking for.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, it's a form of, it's a hunt.
Hmm.
Like it mimics a hunt for the dog.
Yep.
And when they get to the end and have a game, it kind of, for dogs that love play, it kind of just completes the picture.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I agree. And, once again, it's about understanding your dog and understanding what those motivators, that reinforcement is, to get the best out of your dog, right? Because once again, um, you know, a tug toy or a ball is not going to, or is not going to cut it with some dogs. You're going to have to use some personal play. There's some food rewards. So really understanding your own dog, and that's why we're here to help you get the best out of your dog, and have the best overall experience, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And
Mm.
it can be quite surprising sometimes, especially for dogs that may have not done much um, training or activities out in the environment,
Mhm.
as opposed to doing things at home or they're familiar
Mhm.
with the environment, is that, um, you know, to start with, the dog might, tug like a demon at home.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean it's going to necessarily translate to a training session,
Yep.
especially in the beginning. So, and
Mhm.
then, yeah, also, same as, like finding what the dog really loves. And then, okay, we have a dog that likes to play, but how do you
Mhm.
want to play? How do they want to play with? What toys do they like?
Mhm.
And then we have the dogs that prefer food, but then not all food is equal, as
Mhm.
we
Yeah, for sure.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was I reading? I was reading Paul a book the other day, Paul Bunkner's book, I think it was. I think, and it was around, getting the dog to do running some testing around some toy selection. I think I can't remember the book at the moment, but running some tests to see the dog selecting the toys, right? Um, and having a good understanding of that your dog, but also you know what toy is going to be best suited to that dog.
Yes, and it's like it's I think it's important to
Mhm, mhm,
drop what you think you know in
mhm,
sometimes. So
mhm,
if you come with your dog, and
mhm,
often you that you might be surprised, and you need to be open,
mhm,
because sometimes what you think might be reinforcing to the dog is actually not that exciting.
mhm,
Yeah, as I said, kind of relates also. It might not
mhm,
be that exciting, that environment, but yeah, just being open. And look, like I literally had a dog that wasn't too certain and wasn't too keen on food.
mhm,
Um, liked to play, but wasn't too certain. But like started, and we were kind of problem solving. So we got the trail layer to play with a stick that the dog was
mhm,
found, like literally where we started, and
mhm.
took off with stick, and the dog thought it was the best thing ever. Exactly. So you have to be flexible and adapt
Mhm.
to what the dog needs. Maybe just on that day too was a young dog, so
Yeah.
still developing, and yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Look, certainly, I think there's a big opportunity for education around that, and I think that, I wish you well in regards to when's your workshop?
The Which one?
Your play workshop. When's that?
Um, oh, actually, I think it's in 2 weeks. I have to check.
So it's coming up. So if you're in Brisbane, Toowoomba, or local, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, and you want to along to Ingrid's play workshop, we'll make sure you reach out to her, and you can learn a little bit more about that. But certainly sounds awesome, and I'll certainly have a look at those dates for Craig, for that workshop
Yep,
in
yep. So
November
it's
as well.
coming. So he'll probably be here if everything turns out. Just waiting on confirmation for flights, but he's probably going to
Mhm.
be here in the week from the 10th of November.
Oh, cool. My birthday's the 11th, so sweet happy
Oh,
days.
there you
Maybe
go.
that's a birthday present to me.
That sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
definitely,
Awesome.
we're
All
hopeful
right.
for that week.
Yeah, for sure. So, we've covered off on a few bits
Yeah.
and pieces tonight. For the listeners out there, obviously, Ingrid's got a heap of stuff going on, which is fantastic. And if you're in the Brisbane area, but also, as Ingrid mentioned, in regards to the development and the um, of Mantrailing Global instructors. If you're interested in jumping on Mantrailing Global Instructor course, that's coming up as well. So reach out in a couple of months, reach out to Ingrid around that. But like I took a little bit of a break, for 12 months around a number of things, and most of the listeners out there will probably, obviously they know that because they haven't seen the podcast has just come back online in the last few months. So I took 12 months off and decided to, jump back in, and, I feel, we'll talk about this a bit at a later date, but, I really feel like I can have more impact with people and their dogs in regards to dogs and deadlifts. And I haven't announced it completely on the podcast yet, but I know that Ingrid, that I separated the man trailing and scent work, which is now under the name of Aussie Man Trailing. So just to differentiate a little bit of my fitness and conditioning. Training and projects that I do compared to the man trailing and scent work. So that's, that's super excited for me as well. And I think that that will be a little clearer for people out there as well, right?
So when are you running your first intro?
Yeah, so first intro is on the 6th of April here locally, back doing introductions, and I've got another one later in going to go down to the Ipswich area. so West Brisbane, a little bit later in April as well. And I guess, look, at some point I closed down everything fairly quickly, and I made the announcement that I was closing down the business completely. And look, I'm not going to fully apologize, but I guess it maybe caught some people off guard and some regular clients that were coming to me and that I was progressing. Um, Obviously potentially caught them off guard, but I had to do what I had to do, right? Personal situation is what it is, but and I took 12 months off. So I know that, on a local level, I've got a bit of work to do to win back some trust in some of my clients, but it all will take time, and for me, it's about producing consistency again, not just for Mantrailing, but also with the podcast and the fitness projects that I'm working on as well.
Yeah, I mean, like
Mm,
you said,
mm,
sometimes
mm,
it is not like, training, like, it can be quite stressful, and it's important that you look after yourself, because
mm,
you cannot help any dog and person if if you're not well enough,
mm.
yourself. And I think people understand that.
Yeah, look, and
They
and
have
look,
burnt out pretty bad.
and I've said it to Lewis before as well, on the podcast I did with Lewis. you know I'm a little bit jealous, but yourself and Lewis have, you've had that 12 months. I feel like I'm starting afresh again, in regards to some of my projects, but like I said, I don't believe it's going to take me,
You'll catch up.
that's exactly right. Yeah, for sure. And I'm very passionate. And if you're listening to this, you can obviously tell I'm very passionate and enthusiastic about what we talk about here on the podcast. And so I think, yeah, this year will be a really good year.
Do you have a fitness workshop coming up as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my venue fell through. So I had my second venue fell through. So I am looking for a venue in the Brisbane area and for a 3-hour workshop. And from there, I'm also launching a new slap mill. So the last podcast that I did was with Josh, who we've been working together around the concept, the slap mills, and some other cool projects as well. So he's coming over, and we're going to be doing some demonstrations and some events, pop-up events, where at dog parks, beaches. If trainers want to view what we're doing, we're going to have that on offer for people. So that's really cool, for people to see, because you know I guess I could talk about slap mills for quite some time, but you know um, where I started with them. Like I posted up a photo of a slap mill that I imported in 2014. I imported it from the Philippines, and to where we are today. And I won't go into different brands and pros and cons, all that sort of stuff, because it's not the platform. But I'm really, really happy with what Josh has created, and I'm really looking forward to having it hopefully by the end of the week here, and then, yeah, putting together some education around that as well. So yeah, I got some a big list of certain things that I'm working on. But yeah, the fitness workshop, yeah, a heap of people have filled out the expression of interest forms, but I haven't got back to them just yet, because the venue was 50-50, and today it was yeah, well, it was confirmed that I couldn't use it.
One of our greatest challenges here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I have been in contact with a number of people, and as you know, it's been scout halls, it's been showgrounds, it's been, you name it, emails sent, and uniting churches and stuff, and they're just booked. And obviously we had that cyclone, that sort of set us back. So I'm busting my chops to try and get a venue for 3 hours, and then going to run the pop-up events I can do easy. I just put down a location and say, hey, this is where we're going to be from this time to this time.
Yeah.
Come down and check them out. That's open to trainers, and also Joe Public as well.
It's nice. I have to come and
Mm.
check it out. I do have a snap mill as well. So,
Yeah, I thought you guys. We won't talk about brands, but you got
uh,
fire paw?
no,
No.
unfortunately not.
Yeah, I thought you might have said that you had a fire paw.
My friend has, so she got one of the newer Fire Force.
Yeah.
She got Chase Pro,
Yep.
so the Australian company.
Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
and
So,
it's good. Like I hadn't, yeah,
mm,
happy. I'm happy using it, but it's
yeah. Yep.
again because we're a bit further away. Obviously,
Yep.
um, the choices are limited or expensive.
100%. That's exactly right. So we're looking to a premium product that is at a reasonable price point, but not just that. For me, offering the education that goes with that as well, right? So,
Yes, not
you know,
just just
don't just chuck your dong on there, run them till they die.
till I die.
Um,
Yeah, that's not the
yeah,
point.
so the education around that is so there's a heap of sort of fitness stuff that I've it's been sitting there. It's just yeah, it's just a matter of collaborating it all in one location and offering it out there to the public in the form of courses and memberships and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, I
Mm.
just went to a Cavaletti workshop with
Yep.
with my Molly on the weekend, and
Yep.
I find it such an underutilized.
Oh.
Um, I guess fitness is so underutilized. Fitness for
Hmm.
dogs and conditioning
Yeah.
for dogs, and it is
Yep.
important. Like kind of for our dogs, it's quite important
Yep.
for injury prevention and longevity.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
but
It's only generally when the dog either does has TPLO or has a
yeah,
shoulder injury or for heaven forbid, I've talked about this a number of times around, my dog had a psoas injury that, we not nothing against vets, but I went to four vets and they couldn't diagnose it. Like they just didn't know, you know. I had to do the research myself and then go to a very specialist, to get the psoas injury diagnosed and then work on how to overcome that, right?
yeah, it's slowly awareness is increasing a little bit, and we
Hmm.
slowly getting a
Hmm.
few sports medicine vets
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
have done a bit more further education. So for
Yeah.
people that don't know, the veterinary curriculum is huge.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there's just so much to cover
Yep.
that some things are, yeah, they just fall
Yeah.
through the cracks because of age.
100%. That's exactly right. 100%. And I,
But
I agree. So
it's getting the knowledge is coming slowly.
yeah, for sure.
Catching
And I
on.
and I had, just on that, look, this is a whole nother hour subject around this, but I had Bobby Lyons on the show recently, and I just didn't have the interest enough to generate for her to come to Australia. She goes to, she's a fantastic one of
Yeah,
the
she's fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm,
that's surprising, but
mhm. I just didn't have the interest, to justify it. And I'm not going to potentially bring someone out, right, and do thousands and thousands of dollars, but she was willing to come and put the effort in into us here in Australia, and we just didn't have the interest, So, um, it was a little bit disappointing, right? But that's okay.
it'll happen. Yeah,
100%, and it's just a matter of just doing more podcasts, more education, more awareness, and that's sort of just want to mention it. I was talking to someone just the other day, and on two things, which we'll wrap it up. But so the first thing was, you're talking about cavalettis and gait and stuff like that, right? So I just want to pair that up with slap mills. Do people fully understand? Not just warm. We need to warm the dog up before we put the dog on a slap mill, but do we understand what gait the dog is in on the slap mill, and also do we control that gait to get the desired outcome? What energy system is that dog using, and what is the goal of that training session? You've got me all like, we all pumped up about this now, right? But does that make sense though, right?
oh yeah, no,
Like,
absolutely, absolutely.
mm,
It's a bit like it's
mm,
no different really, not a bit like it's no
yeah,
different
yeah,
to get the best benefit, or in some cases to
mm,
not do any harm.
yep,
You don't want to go into a training session without a plan.
hmm,
It doesn't always have to be like
yep,
he's written out super
mm,
thing, but you have
yeah,
to have a plan. What are you working on? What's your goal?
hmm,
Um, where you're at? Where do you start from?
mm,
Um, and
that's
then
right.
and it's no different when it comes to fitness training.
For
Like
sure.
you,
And, and that could be as simple as, and this is what I do, let's build a base to from 4 to 8 weeks. And our dog's just doing, we're going to build up, but 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and they're in they're in a trot or a
yeah,
very, a walk, and then we go from there. You know what I mean? Like jumping on and doing high intensity sprints because we've got a high dry dog for until they can no longer breathe is not the go. You know what I mean? Let's just because a tired dog's a good dog. Unlikely. Do you know what I mean? So that is a pet peeve and something that I'm working on educating people around.
yeah,
What
yeah.
energy system are we using? What's the goal of the training? Are we warming up and what are we cooling down? If they can take those, look at, four elements, sweet happy days,
Yeah.
Um, the
Um,
other, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The other thing, just briefly, was had a government organisation call me, and they have general purpose dogs, and they wanted a fitness program for. They had potentially 8, maybe 10 dogs starting a course. As a 10 to 12 week course for their patrol dogs, if you like. And we were talking about all these concepts and things like that, and I'm like, so these concepts not just for patrol dogs or general purpose dogs, right? They can be for the 50 detection dogs you've got. The detection dogs, if they can work they can work for longer, more intent have more intensity. Like those two things alone would be a benefit from a fitter, faster, healthier dog, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, because our dogs, do like. Sorry, when I say our dogs, I mean the
Mm-hmm.
working search and rescue
Hmm.
dog.
Hmm.
Uh, they, they'll search for 20 minutes or so at a time for one
Hmm.
search, and like they have several searches like obviously maybe going all day
Hmm.
in a deployment, and
Yep.
like physical fitness um, is your foundation to
Mm.
have your work fitness. So
Mm.
you cannot. I don't think you can develop a dog that's search fit without
Hmm.
it having physical fitness
Hmm.
as
Yeah.
as your foundation for it. It's not.
No, look, I agree. I agree, but that's a whole nother hour or two conversation. So what we'll do though was if yeah, we'll wrap it up. If anyone is interested in regards to what they've heard, what that they might be interested in man trailing global instructor course, how do they best get in contact with you?
Look, the best way is through my websites, probably. So it's
Hmm.
creatureconnections.com.au.
Hmm.
And Creature Connections is also my name on the socials.
Hmm.
And any of those channels
Yep.
are fine to contact me on.
Yep.
And
Cool.
yeah, happy
Awesome.
to chat.
Yeah, awesome. So, look, thank you very much for taking the time to come on, talk to me tonight, in regards to man trailing, play. We, a bit of fitness on the end there. You know, covered off on some, obviously a variety of different subjects, but it's always good just talking, unscripted, no questions, and just sort of seeing how things pan out. So, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I really enjoyed it. I do like it when the conversation flows and
Yeah.
it all plays in. It's not. It's all important.
That's exactly right. 100% it is. All right, guys. So if you've liked this, what you've heard, reach out to Ingrid. Please give the Dogs and Deadlifts podcast a like, a share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.